There's no coach in America that has more pressure on them than Ryan Day coming into this season, man. He's never had more than 2 losses in a year, but Ohio State fans are always at this guy's neck wanting him to get fired. And Paul Feinbaum a few days ago said that if Michigan wins 4 straight over Ohio State, Ryan Day has to get fired no matter what happens. And I believe that nobody's even going to have to worry about having that conversation because Ryan Day isn't going to lose 4 straight to Michigan. There's no way Ohio State should lose again to Michigan this year. They are just way more talented than Michigan all across the board. The way that the Wolverines have beaten Ohio State, being tough up front with a dominant rushing attack, it's the same way Ohio State should be able to turn the tables in this rivalry. Nobody in college football, including Michigan, is going to be able to stop this 2-headed monster of Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. I don't know how the NCAA allowed this to happen, Ohio State getting their hands on 2 of the best running backs in college football, but it happened. They also have the best coaching staff in college football. You got not only Jim Knowles, one of the best defensive coordinators in the sport, but somehow you were able to get Chip Kelly to take a demotion saying, nah, I don't want to be a head coach no more. I'd rather just become an offensive coordinator. It doesn't matter if UCLA's offenses haven't really been that explosive. The reasoning for that is because Chip Kelly hasn't recruited at a high level at UCLA. But despite that, UCLA's offenses were still really good. They've always been dominant when it came to running the football. He's produced some really good running backs. Zach Charbonnet had a fantastic tenure at UCLA under Chip Kelly, and he's in the NFL now in the Seattle Seahawks. With what Ohio State has at running back, Chip Kelly has a boatload of riches to end up producing one of college football's most dominant offenses that we should see this year. Chip Kelly, the problem with him is that he doesn't like to recruit. He doesn't have to recruit at Ohio State. All he has to do is call plays, and you pretty much are giving this dude the lottery when it comes to the talent pool that he has to call plays with. This dude has a loaded wide receiving core. He's going to have a decent quarterback in Will Howard. Some people question if Will Howard is good enough to lead Ohio State to the Natty. He is. They don't need to rely on Will Howard as much as what they have relied on their quarterbacks in the past because of how dominant the rushing attack is going to be. Like, seriously, who is going to be able to stop Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins on the ground? Their offensive line has been a concern the last 3 years. But that's not going to be an issue this season because you reunite Chip Kelly with his former offensive line coach. In Ohio State, they have way too many resources. They recruit way too good to continue to have struggles on the offensive line. When you have the amount of resources they do and they recruit at such a high level, you're only going to have a weakness at a certain position for so long until you eventually figure it out. If Michigan ends up dropping 4 straight, or they end up having their 4th straight win over Ohio State, I would never, ever talk about Ryan Day in a positive light ever again because there is no excuse for him losing to Michigan. Those Michigan teams that Ohio State ran into the last 2 years were all-time great. And the biggest kryptonite for Ryan Day is gone, which is Jim Harbaugh. I'm not expecting for Michigan to remain the powerhouse in the Big Ten that they were under Jim Harbaugh, under Sharon Moore. I get that the dude was able to go undefeated in the games that he had to fill in as the interim head coach for Harbaugh when he was serving out that brief suspension during the season. But it's a lot different when you still have Jim Harbaugh having the final say in the game plan and running the program than it is when you're running the program all by yourself with nobody advising you how to do so and nobody overseeing it over you. This is a new Michigan where they're replacing a lot of production that they lost to the NFL. They don't recruit nearly as good as Ohio State. And Michigan fans keep on throwing out that, well, we've won a national championship and we've dominated Ohio State all these years despite not being able to out-recruit them. So why will that end this season? Because talent in college football kind of means everything. It's not the end-all, be-all, but normally when you recruit as good as what Ohio State does, you end up being in the national championship picture every single season. And what has held back Ohio State from getting to the national championship has been their inability to beat Michigan and them coming up short against Georgia. But outside of that, Ohio State has ran through everybody that there is to play. I cannot imagine Ohio State losing 4 straight to Michigan this year. This is a Michigan team where we don't even know how good their quarterback play is going to be. And you can sell me the dream about how they have a lot of guys who didn't get a lot of action, but when they did come in last year, they were highly productive. No, they got too many new faces this year for them to continue to dominate over Ohio State. You know, I agree with Pon Farbaum. If they lose to Michigan again, Ryan Day definitely has to get fired. Unless they win a national championship, which definitely could happen. But with what Ohio State has in place going into this season, I know I get seen as a Michigan hater because I'm always doubting them, but they really shouldn't win against Ohio State this year, man. Ohio State really should win it all this year. If they don't win the national championship, hell, I believe that could be a fireable offense. But when the bar for having a unsuccessful season is 2 losses, it's hard for me to say you deserve to get fired, no matter if he loses 4 straight against Michigan. I'm a Miami Hurricane fan. I would love to have Ryan Day as our head coach down there in South Beach. You can say that he inherited an already tailor-made program from Urban Meyer, but Ohio State was not recruiting under Urban Meyer at the level that they are under Ryan Day. He has taken an already great program and made it even better. It's just that we haven't seen the on-the-field success yet. But there still is a learning curve that comes with being a head coach. And Ryan Day has still been learning on the job. Imagine you getting your first opportunity to be a head coach, but it's at a school that has the tradition and pageantry that Ohio State has. The bar is set extremely high, and you don't get a lot of opportunities to make too many mistakes and to have to learn, but Ryan Day has done a good job of making adjustments on the fly. He has a good handle on the new age of college football with the NIL and transfer portal being such a big thing. He got his alumni or donor base to donate $20 million to their NIL backing. You don't get that kind of funding if your organization doesn't believe in you. So I believe in Ohio State. I can't see Michigan winning 4 straight over them. I really can't. But this is the same guy who also said I couldn't see Michigan winning 3 straight over them. Jim Harbaugh is gone. Sharon Moore has to show me that he can beat Ryan Day, that he can run Michigan, and they can be as dominant as what they were under him as they were under Harbaugh, and I just don't see that happening. They have way too many questions. Ohio State is stacked at every position. They're going to have so many guys getting drafted high in next year's draft. If the Buckeyes lose this year to Michigan, I really will be lost for words because it shouldn't happen. The only game Ohio State should lose is probably to Oregon. And even then, they have a better team at Oregon. Not by a huge margin, but by a pretty comfortable margin. So I can't see Michigan winning 4 straight over Ohio State. So I don't really think we have to entertain the idea of what if Michigan wins 4 straight over them, what happens to Ryan Day, because I don't see it happening.